Space Station. We're flying 260 statute miles.
Capture ring retraction in progress.
Flying 260 statute miles over the Atlantic Ocean.
So that is a very important closeout duty that they have aboard Dragon before they enter. But it seems like we do have the first Crew-10 Onishi, the first Crew-10 astronaut through the hatch, followed by Peskov, Nichole Ayers, the first of the Fly's newest class of astronauts to enter, and last commander of Crew-10, Anne McClain.
SpaceX Crew-10, welcome aboard the ISS.
Well, hey everybody down there on Earth.
You're not hot on the mic. I know. Is the receiver?
Oh yeah, we're on.
Okay, got it. Okay.
All right,
They changed it the last minute.
Got it.
Thought I lost my touch there for a sec. Hey, Crew-10 has had a great journey up here, about 28 hours to get back up to the space station, and I cannot tell you the immense joy of our crew when we looked out the window and we saw the space station for the first time. Returning for a couple of people, very first time for a couple of people. And let me tell you, that is such an amazing journey. You can hardly even put it into words. The ride up on the Falcon 9, orbiting the Earth for the last couple of days, it's been absolutely incredible, and it is something that none of us could do by ourselves. As we've said before, you cannot be great without the greatness of others, and I tell you, the greatness of the ground control teams have really shined through in the last few days getting us up here safely. Thank you very, very much.
Maybelline, New York. Welcome to Sky High Air with Sky High Mascara. Your destination to longer looking lashes with 2 mm added length. Get ready, now boarding limitless length and volume. Sky High Mascara from Maybelline, New York.
In a world first, next generation active noise cancellation ensures the quietest possible driving experience.
Hey, from the bottom of my heart, thanks to our families, friends, and our colleagues from all the partners, SpaceX, NASA, CSA, ESA, Roscosmos, and JAXA for preparing us and making it possible for us to get here. And we are so excited to now be officially part of the Expedition 72. Thank you guys. And I want to say a couple of words in Japanese from here. 日本の皆さん応援ありがとうございました。元気にここまで ISS まで帰ってくることができました。明日からまた、一生懸命、希望でのサイエンス等を含めていろんなタスクを頑張っていきたいと思います。ぜひ応援よろしくお願いします。
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot one more time to SpaceX and NASA for this wonderful ride. That was really fun. And thanks to all the world's aerospace industry, which works to make the dreams to come true and to take us further and further. That's really wonderful. Thanks to everyone working there. И спасибо, конечно же, отдельно это Роскосмосу и Центру подготовки космонавтов за знания и опыт, которые привели меня сюда. Будем работать славно, работать дружно. Во имя, во благо всего человечества. Передаю микрофон. Потерялся.
I'd like to just say again, thank you to SpaceX for the awesome ride up here. As a rookie, that was one of the coolest things I've ever done, and I can't wait to get to work up here. So excited for the 4 pilots and us that just got to get to space together, and now we're 4 astronauts together. So thank you to all of our friends and families, and thank you to all of the instructors and all of the ground teams who got us here. Can't wait to get started.
And Houston, thank you for tuning in this early morning. It was a wonderful day. Great to see our friends arrive. So thank you so much.
Standing by for initial contact of Dragon to the International Space Station.
Dragon contact and soft capture complete.
And there you heard Dragon has successfully docked to the International Space Station. We have contact and soft capture confirmed. Soft capture meaning that the initial soft capture ring around Dragon has physically connected with the International Docking Adapter. And this is just the first part of the overall docking sequence, Anna.
And so we did have that contact confirmed at 9:04 p.m. Pacific, 11:04 p.m. Central, while both Dragon and the International Space Station were flying 260 statute miles.
Capture ring retraction in progress.
Flying 260 statute miles over the Atlantic Ocean.
So that is a very important closeout duty that they have aboard Dragon before they enter. But it seems like we do have the first Crew-10 Onishi, the first Crew-10 astronaut through the hatch, followed by Peskov, Nichole Ayers, the first of the Fly's newest class of astronauts to enter, and last commander of Crew-10, Anne McClain.
SpaceX Crew-10, welcome aboard the SS.
Well, hey, everybody down there on Earth.
You're not hot on the mic. I know. Is the receiver?
Oh, yeah, we're on.
Okay, got it. Okay.
All right,
They
I thought
changed it the last minute.
Got it.
I lost my touch there for a sec. Hey, Crew-10 has had a great journey up here, about 28 hours to get back up to the space station, and I cannot tell you the immense joy of our crew when we looked out the window and we saw the space station for the first time. Returning for a couple of people, very first time for a couple of people. And let me tell you, that is such an amazing journey. You can hardly even put it into words. The ride up on the Falcon 9, orbiting the Earth for the last couple of days, it's been absolutely incredible, and it is something that none of us could do by ourselves. As we've said before, you cannot be great without the greatness of others, and I tell you, the greatness of the ground control teams have really shined through in the last few days getting us up here safely. Thank you very, very much.
Hey, from the bottom of my heart, thanks to our families, friends, and our colleagues from all the partners, SpaceX, NASA, CSA, ESA, Roscosmos, and JAXA for preparing us and making it possible for us to get here. And we are so excited to now be officially part of the Expedition 72. Thank you guys. And I want to say a couple of words in Japanese from here. 日本の皆さん応援ありがとうございました。元気にここまで ISS まで帰ってくることができました。明日からまた、一生懸命、希望でのサイエンス等含めていろんなタスクを頑張っていきたいと思います。ぜひ応援よろしくお願いします。
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot one more time to SpaceX and NASA for this wonderful ride. That was really fun. And thanks to all the world's aerospace industry, which works to make the dreams to come true and to take us further and further. That's really wonderful. Thanks to everyone working there. И спасибо, конечно же, отдельно это Роскосмосу и Центру подготовки космонавтов за знания и опыт, которые привели меня сюда. Будем работать славно, работать дружно во имя, во благо всего человечества. Передаю микрофон. Потерялся.
I'd like to just say again, thank you to SpaceX for the awesome ride up here. As a rookie, that was one of the coolest things I've ever done, and I can't wait to get to work up here. So excited for the 4 pilots and us that just got to get to space together, and now we're 4 astronauts together. So thank you to all of our friends and families, and thank you to all of the instructors and all of the ground teams who got us here. Can't wait to get started.
And Houston, thank you for tuning in this early morning. It was a wonderful day. Great to see our friends arrive. So thank you so much.
प्रमोशन मिला. Guess who's the new CEO?
लोग जो 60 में बनते हैं तुम 40 में बन गए हो.
ब्रो, कहीं 60 की बीमारियां भी 40 में ना आ जाए.
इतनी फिक्र क्यों? जब रोज का खाना बने हेल्दी और विद सफोला गोल्ड, जो लाइट तो है ही, प्लस इसमें है पावर ऑफ 3. सफोला गोल्ड, रोज का हेल्दी स्टेप.
Goodbye, Frizz. Hello, smooth hair.
Did you know Opticare Frizz fighting system is used by not 10, not 100, not even 1000, but over 1 lakh professional hairstylists. Opticare Frizz fighting system from Matrix.
Not today, Frizz.
We are just a couple of hours away from the final approach and docking of Dragon to the International Space Station after a picture-perfect liftoff from the Kennedy Space Center yesterday. Overall, this will be Dragon's 46th visit to the International Space Station and its 14th human spaceflight mission to the orbiting lab, including the Demo 2 test flight, the 10 NASA Commercial Crew Program rotation flights, and 3 Axiom Space private astronaut missions.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, mid-course maneuver complete. Trajectory has converged on waypoint 0.
And that is exactly what we were hoping to hear.
Dragon, copy.
Exactly what we were hoping to hear there, that mid-course correction burn, nudging Dragon back onto the proper trajectory to intercept waypoint 0, which is that 400 meters below the International Space Station. Now, going a little bit ahead in our process, when we're about ready to dock with the International Space Station, one of the final things we're going to hear is what's called CHOP, crew hands-off point, a little less than 30 seconds prior to docking. That's the point where all aborts would have to be manual, but as we actually heard a few minutes ago, right after that approach initiation burn, the crew does have manual options available to them, but right now just monitoring Dragon as it cruises in autonomously for that docking a little bit later tonight.
And you can see that live view and a beautiful view at that of Dragon Endurance as it approaches the International Space Station. Now, these views are being captured by cameras on the International Space Station, which is Dragon's target for today. And the International Space Station and Dragon are currently flying about 260 statute miles over the Indian Ocean. And so after CHOP, and as we make that initial capture and the grand arrival when Crew-10 arrives at the space station, Dragon will fly in and make contact with those international docking adapters, giving us what we call soft capture. And the soft capture ring then retracts until sensors indicate it's time for 12 hooks, 2 sets of 6, to drive in place to give us a hard capture and firmly secure Dragon to its new home on the space station. Then the station crew, namely NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore, will manually pressurize the vestibule or the...
And Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Ground has pulled go for approach 0 and enabled the maneuver. Expected maneuver start time is approximately 0321 Zulu. Reminder that Dragon will nominally continue its approach through waypoint 1 towards waypoint 2 without stopping.
Dragon copies the go for approach 0.
Dragon's rendezvous and docking to the International Space Station is a fully automated process. However, Hague does have an ability to execute commands if necessary, but really only there for monitoring. So that C2V2 power cycling allows him to have the view from Dragon itself as it moves up towards the docking axis, which you're seeing now on your screen from the external cameras aboard the International Space Station. Hague monitoring Dragon's arrival, receiving data including range and range rate, making sure that Dragon is moving at the expected velocity, speed, position. Everything's positioned on board the International Space Station for docking. Again, the station itself at the docking attitude. Now again, the station teams here in the International Space Station flight control room polling to make sure that Dragon itself can proceed past waypoint 1 towards waypoint 2. Waypoint 2 being just 20 meters in front of the International Space Station's docking port. This will be inside the keep out sphere. It is Nick Hague monitoring the operations from the International Space Station. Now, once it makes its way in to dock with the space station, it'll be NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore that is tasked with the responsibility of opening up the hatches and preparing the station to welcome the crew aboard Endurance. This includes opening up several hatches, including the Node 2 hatch and the APAS hatch, both of which are closed for the docking operations and cannot be opened until the docking is complete. He'll start venting air to make sure that the air is circulating properly through the pressurized mating adapter. And there's no pockets of carbon dioxide, just a safety procedure. When he's going to inspect the hatch, he'll be wearing goggles and gloves for safety measures. We'll cover all of that post-docking, but that'll be Butch Wilmore's responsibility. We'll also be getting camera views from inside the station. These were set up by NASA astronaut Don Pettit. The crew waking up and making sure on an early day aboard the International Space Station, much earlier than their typical day. In fact, their crew wake period was just after midnight Greenwich Mean Time, which is the time that they operate aboard the International Space Station. They were up and making sure that everything was prepared for Crew-10's arrival today. Crew-10 really just a transport mission to get to the International Space Station. Once there, they join Expedition 72 for at least a time. Don Pettit, NASA astronaut Don Pettit, will be returning aboard a Soyuz. Once that Soyuz undocks, crew on board the International Space Station officially begins Expedition 73, continuing the great science and technology demonstrations that are necessary in low Earth orbit to prepare for future human missions to deep space, including the Moon and to Mars. Camera views from inside Dragon Endurance showing displays that show some of the trajectory that is necessary to converge with the docking axis. This is waypoint 1. Now, when you see those displays, you'll see the trajectory curve out, the spacecraft itself calculating breakout maneuvers that are necessary as it makes its way along the planned set of procedures and approach maneuvers. Waypoint 1, immediately in front of the docking axis, once that is executed, the Dragon will fire its Draco thrusters to maneuver inside. Endurance less than 300 meters from the International Space Station, being illuminated by an orbital sunset right now. The views you see of Earth and of Dragon will start to get a little darker as we enter into an orbital sunset and orbital nighttime. Dragon, now brightened by the sun, will start to dim, and you'll start to see the docking lights as well as the navigation lights. Docking light will be white at the center of the spacecraft, and you'll see green and red lights on the forward bulkhead, green indicating the starboard position, red indicating the port position. The International Space Station cameras sometimes view from an upside-down position, as you can see from this view, as the Earth is on the top left of your screen. So the port and starboard navigation light positions will be reversed, but it's because the camera is sort of upside down from the position of Earth. You'll notice some of the views change throughout our coverage here. The feeds coming from Dragon, you can see illuminating the International Space Station. Those feeds provided by ground
SpaceX
stations.
On the big loop, approach 1 and soft capture ring extension will begin shortly. Dragon will continue its approach to waypoint 2.
SpaceX, Dragon, copy all.
And that relayed from the SpaceX core in Hawthorne, California, confirmed by the crew aboard Endurance. We are proceeding inside the keep-out sphere. You are seeing the docking light begin to blink at the center of Dragon Endurance. Features of Dragon becoming a little bit more apparent. The nose cone fully open, exposing the docking ring and the forward bulk of the Dracos. You did hear that Dragon will extend the soft docking ring mechanism. This allows for a cushioned contact as Dragon makes its way toward the International Docking Adapter. Docking comes in several phases, which includes contact and a soft capture, which is initiated by the docking ring. That docking ring is retracted to pull Dragon in closer to the International Space Station, and then begin a sequence to hard dock Dragon to the International Space Station. There are 12 hooks that are driven to really latch Dragon to the International Space Station. They're deployed in 2 sets of 6. And those will be confirmed by the crew. Once all of the hooks are driven, there is also an umbilical that extends and connects to an interface on the International Space Station side to provide power and data transfer between the 2 vehicles. Dragon right now operating on battery power and solar power that's generated from the trunk. Once Dragon attaches to the International Space Station, it'll be receiving power from the International Space Station through the duration of its stay aboard.
And there you're seeing a great view on your screen of the Dragon Endurance spacecraft as it makes its final approach to the International Space Station. The teams in Mission Control Houston and the SpaceX Mission Control teams behind us are, of course, doing some final go, no-go polls for docking. It's one of the final checkpoints between those teams to make sure everyone is good to proceed and to dock. We did hear that there will likely be a brief hold at waypoint 2. And again, that waypoint 2 is just 20 meters away from the International Space Station, so very close at that point. So they will hold briefly, and then from there, we will have our final approach and docking. We will have an initial soft capture, and then from there, they will begin to deploy those hooks, 2 sets of 6 for a total of 12 hooks to get that hard capture.
So this is a view from the Dragon Endurance carrying the Crew-10 crew. The forward docking port there is in the center of your screen, sort of being illuminated every few seconds by that light from Dragon. And what I love about this is you can see the Crew-9 Dragon directly above that docking port. And of course, Crew-9 going to be coming home after a brief handover period with the Crew-10 crew. And then inside of Dragon Endurance here, you have Commander Anne McClain on the left-hand side of your screen, pilot Nichole Ayers on the right. Next to Nichole is Roscosmos cosmonaut Kirill Peskov, and on Anne's left is JAXA, or Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Takuya Onishi. Anne and Takuya are returning to the International Space Station for their second long-duration missions, and Nichole and Kirill are on their first missions to space.
So it's getting pretty real for the 4 crew members that make up Crew-10. Right now, they are just under 25 meters away from the International Space Station, so just outside of that waypoint 2, which is that point at which Dragon will hold for a few minutes.
On the big loop, you see we're approaching waypoint 2. Crew visors are closed.
Copy. Crew-10 visors are closed.
We did just hear that confirmation that the crew is approaching waypoint 2, so they see that on those screens in front of them. They see the distance, and they're able to monitor that approach as well.
And this is great because you can see Dragon's Draco thrusters firing here. You've got the red and the green navigation lights as well as the white one, but all those little flashes and pulses that you're seeing around the vehicle are the thrusters, keeping that alignment as we continue to approach waypoint 2, 20 meters from the ISS, where again, we are expecting to hold for a few minutes up. And you can see we're really getting close, considering now we're really illuminating that forward docking port with Dragon.
And so Dragon is actually at that waypoint 2 mark now, just around 20 meters away. So we will have that hold briefly. And recently, the team in Mission Control Houston did conduct their final go, no-go poll as well for docking.
SpaceX on the big loop. Dragon is holding at waypoint 2 for Dragon eye assessment.
You hear that confirmation.
Dragon, copy.
And you hear that confirmation that Dragon is holding. Now you're on the left-hand side of your screen as you're looking from the ISS's camera out at Dragon. Even though we've said Dragon is holding, you're still going to see some of those thruster pulses, because holding in space is not like just stopping your car that holds the same position.
And Dragon SpaceX on the big loop. Ground is bold to go, and we'll be enabling approach shortly. Confirm crew readiness for final approach.
SpaceX Dragon Crew-10 is ready for final approach.
Station Houston, on the big loop, Dragon is on final approach and is go for docking. Monitor per steps 5 and 6 in 1.102 Dragon approach and retreat monitoring.
Station copy.
And that was the call from the International Space Station Flight Control Room to the crew on the ISS. Again, just everyone confirming, making sure everyone's on the same page, as Dragon is now very close to docking with the International Space Station here today.
And so Dragon is now just 17 meters away from the International Space Station and continuing to close in on its target. Coming up here shortly, we will likely hear that call out for CHOP, which stands for Crew Hands Off Point. That typically takes place less than 30 seconds before docking. So as soon as you hear that, you know that that docking will take place very soon after. And then at that point, when we hear the CHOP call out, any aborts will have to be done automatically by Dragon. And so also on the International Space Station, we have NASA astronaut Nick Hague monitoring this final approach. And then once Dragon is docked, NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore will walk through those hatch preparation and opening steps to welcome the crew on board. And Dragon is now less than 14 meters away from the International Space Station and continuing that final approach.
These very delicate series of maneuvers now. Dragon approaching very, very slowly relative to the International Space Station. Again, we talked earlier that launch is all about accelerating the vehicles to orbital velocity, and even though both Dragon and the ISS are traveling at about 17,500 miles per hour or 27,500 kilometers per hour, they are moving very, very slow, like 1/10 of a meter per second in relation to each other right now.
Dragon now at about 10 meters away from the International Space Station. We're standing by for that call out for CHOP here shortly.
SpaceX Dragon, 10 meters.
Copy, 10.
And again, you're looking at the forward docking port of the International Space Station, which is mounted to the Harmony or Node 2 module of the space station. The Crew-9 Dragon, which has been there since September, is also attached to a docking port on this module, and that Dragon is actually just off the top of your screen there as Crew-10's Dragon comes in for docking in just a few moments. And I love these views again. You've got the Dragon, you've got the ISS staring at Dragon on the left-hand side of your screen, and you've got Dragon looking at its docking port on the ISS on the right.
And Dragon is now less than 7 meters away from the International Space Station as it continues to make that final approach. Traveling with a range rate of less than 0.082, which, as you mentioned earlier, it continues to get slower and slower as we make this final approach.
5 meters.
Copy, 5 meters.
So the next call we should hear is CHOP, or that crew hands-off period, followed moments later by docking.
That typically comes at about 2 meters away from the International Space Station. Right now, we're less than 4 meters away. Less than 3 meters away.
2 meters, please hands off.
Copy, hands off.
There is the CHOP call.
Standing by for initial contact of Dragon to the International Space Station.
Dragon contact and soft capture complete.
And there you heard Dragon has successfully docked to the International Space Station. We have contact and soft capture confirmed. Soft capture meaning that the initial soft capture ring around Dragon has physically connected with the International Docking Adapter. And this is just the first part of the overall docking sequence, Anna.
And so we did have that contact confirmed at 9:04 p.m. Pacific, 11:04 p.m. Central, while both Dragon and the International Space Station were flying 260 statute miles.
Capture ring retraction in progress.
flying 260 statute miles over the Atlantic Ocean. And we did just hear confirmation that that soft capture ring is now beginning to retract. So they're beginning those steps to firmly attach Dragon to the International Space Station so that we can have what is known as a hard capture.
But it seems like we do have the first Crew-10 Onishi, the first Crew-10 astronaut through the hatch, followed by Peskov. Nichole Ayers, the first of the Fly's newest class of astronauts to enter, and last commander of Crew-10, Anne McClain.
SpaceX Crew-10, welcome aboard the SS.
Well, hey, everybody down there on Earth.
You're not hot on the mic. I know. Is the receiver?
Oh, yeah, we're on.
Okay, got it. Okay.
All right,
They
I thought,
changed it the last minute.
Got it.
thought I lost my touch there for a sec. Hey, Crew-10 has had a great journey up here, about 28 hours to get back up to the space station, and I cannot tell you the immense joy of our crew when we looked out the window and we saw the space station for the first time, returning for a couple of people, very first time for a couple of people. And let me tell you, that is such an amazing journey. You can hardly even put it into words. The ride up on the Falcon 9, orbiting the Earth for the last couple of days, it's been absolutely incredible, and it is something that none of us could do by ourselves. As we've said before, you cannot be great without the greatness of others, and I tell you, the greatness of the ground control teams have really shined through in the last few days getting us up here safely. Thank you very, very much.
Hey, from the bottom of my heart, thanks to our families, friends, and our colleagues from all the partners, SpaceX, NASA, CSA, ESA, Roscosmos, and JAXA for preparing us and making it possible for us to get here. And we are so excited to now be officially part of the Expedition 72. Thank you guys. And I want to say a couple of words in Japanese from here. 日本の皆さん応援ありがとうございました。元気にここまで ISS まで帰ってくることができました。明日からまた、一生懸命、希望でのサイエンス等を含めていろんなタスクを頑張っていきたいと思います。ぜひ応援よろしくお願いします。
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot one more time to SpaceX and NASA for this wonderful ride. That was really fun. And thanks to all the world's aerospace industry, which works to make the dreams to come true and to take us further and further. That's really wonderful. Thanks to everyone working there. И спасибо, конечно же, отдельно это Роскосмосу и Центру подготовки космонавтов за знания и опыт, которые привели меня сюда. Будем работать славно, работать дружно во имя, во благо всего человечества. Передаю микрофон. Потерялся.
I'd like to just say again, thank you to SpaceX for the awesome ride up here. As a rookie, that was one of the coolest things I've ever done, and I can't wait to get to work up here. So excited for the 4 pilots and us that just got to get to space together, and now we're 4 astronauts together. So thank you to all of our friends and families, and thank you to all of the instructors and all of the ground teams who got us here. Can't wait to get started.
And Houston, thank you for tuning in this early morning. It was a wonderful day. Great to see our friends arrive. So thank you so much.
Thanks to all participants. Station, we're now resuming operational audio comm.
உங்க மார்னிங்ஸ்ல ஏதாவது மிஸ் ஆகுதா? அதெல்லாம் சரி பண்ணுங்க. நெஸ்கேஃபே சன்ரைஸின் ஸ்ட்ராங்கான டேஸ்டோட.
Perfect.
From Nestle. Got your yoga posture right? Why not get your brushing right too? Brush gently using a soft bristled toothbrush. This World Oral Health Day, take the first step. Click on the link below to check your oral health.
And on screen, that is a view from the International Space Station. That is Soichi Noguchi suiting up.
He and Shannon Walker will go ahead and suit up outside, and that's Aki Hoshide next to him. That's the new space station commander. Command was transferred over to him from Shannon Walker, who's also departing today, and Walker will have probably already suited up at this point.
So as we wait, we can see a lot of astronauts continuing to help Soichi. It looks like they're taking photos. You'll notice a lot of picture taking throughout this process. A lot of those are sent to ground to help inspect seals or potential FOD that may be in hatches, but it looks like he is going up into the zenith port. And in that space where another astronaut is going right now, that is where the Dragon capsule that will depart today is currently parked.
And that is Suichi going through the APAS hatch and the vestibule into Dragon.
We've got some cargo stowage right there as well. Love getting those final photos with your crew members in space. The next time they'll all see each other is when those crew members return to Earth as well. So I think it could probably be kind of hard to leave your friends after spending almost 6 months on board with them. And there's NASA astronaut Shane Kimbrough, who just arrived a week ago on the Crew-2 mission. He's helping them complete their checks ahead of hatch closure and undocking today.
And also part of the Crew-2 astronaut, that is Thomas Pesquet, with his hand on the blue rail. He's also going in to see if he can help as well.
Pesquet also arrived a week ago, and he was the first European Space Agency astronaut to fly on board Crew Dragon. Mike Hopkins and Victor Glover, you can see inside the capsule, getting our first look of the day inside Crew Dragon Resilience. Victor Glover there at the top of your screen. He and Hopkins will suit up shortly. Looks like they might be getting some final pictures.
So the hands that you see closest to your screen, that is from astronaut Shannon Walker. Again, the mission specialists don their suits before ingressing. Commander Mike Hopkins and pilot Victor Glover will don their suits after hatch closure.
And it looks like they were just doing just that, closing that forward hatch.
So what Mike and Victor are wearing are essentially comfort garments. It's like athletic wear that they will wear underneath their suit.
Dragon, SpaceX on the big loop, all hooks open and nominal.
Current copies, we see separation.
Mike Hopkins there confirming what you're seeing on the screen. Dragon moving away from the International Space Station.
Dragon separation visually confirmed. And SpaceX concurs.
That undocking taking place at 7:35 p.m. Central Time, 5:35 p.m. Pacific, while the station and Dragon were 260 miles above Mali. That wraps up Crew 1's stay on the International Space Station, begun in November, and puts them on a path.
SpaceX on the big loop, depart burn 0 complete, nominal burn.
Advanced copies, we see the same.
And confirmation there of the first of several good burns taking place. Again, there are 2 undocking burns that occur almost back to back, and those will be followed by departure burn 0. That's the first of 4 departure burns, known as again departure burn 0. It's a short firing of the Dragon's Draco thrusters, lasting 16 seconds and increasing the Dragon's speed by just under half a mile. That gets Dragon flying away from the space station and sends it on a trajectory that will take it up and around the space station.
Resilience departing. Have a safe trip back home and the soft landings. Mission firm resilient. Thanks for your hospitality. Sorry we stayed a little bit longer. We'll see you back on Earth. Be back in a couple of months.
This is another view of Dragon, getting a little bit of light. Again, you can see the windows right above the red and green lights.
This is a cool picture of Dragon. You can see the capsule down toward the bottom of your screen, and then the trunk near the top. And on the trunk on the white side, that's the radiator. It helps radiate heat. And I love this glow right now. The sun is coming up on the space station and onto Crew Dragon.
Wow, that is cool.
This view inside Crew Dragon Resilience looks like Victor Glover's in the background over there getting a bite to eat. And it looks like we have people in the seats, but not quite. Those are just the suits.
I had to take a second look because I thought that they were also in the suits as well. They are hooked up to the umbilicals and we're drying, and we got confirmation a few minutes ago that the drying has been complete. But yes, I took a quick second because one of them had the visors down. I saw, or maybe it was the backdrop of the back of the helmet, but
Yes.
The suits are in place. There's no one in them right now. The crew is, looks like they are chatting about or getting ready for the next departure burn. And now we have views of the interior of Crew-10. We just saw Mike Hopkins, the commander, and to his side is Victor Glover, to his right-hand side.
In front of them, those are those 3 touchscreen displays that allow them to monitor the status of the vehicle, where they are in orbit, and the next steps coming up during this process of their return to Earth. And then on the left, you can see Shannon Walker there relaxing in her seat. And the far right is Soichi Noguchi, JAXA astronaut. These 4 crew members scheduled to splash down in just about 2.5 hours. Looking forward to welcoming them home after 6 months aboard the International Space Station.
And the team recently donned those suits. In about 15 minutes here, they're going to perform suit leak checks. They will close their visors and make sure that there are no leaks in the suits. In case of a depressurization event, the suits do inflate and provide some level of protection and a habitable environment for the astronauts. Again, these suits are custom made for each of the astronauts and designed in-house here at SpaceX. They are a one-piece suit. Everything is integrated. The helmets, the gloves, the boots are all part of that one-piece suit, and the astronauts really just climb in and start zipping things up. The helmet itself is made of 3D printed nylon, and that white material on the exterior is bleached Teflon, and there are also some gray pads as well, and that is Nomex, which is related to nylon, but it has a couple of different properties, some chemical resistance as well as temperature resistance.
துணிகளுக்கு ப்ளீச்சா பயன்படுத்துங்கள் வானிஷ். ஏன் ப்ளீச்சில் உள்ள தீங்கு விளைவிக்கும் குளோரின் துணிகளை மங்க செய்து பாதிப்பை ஏற்படுத்தும். வானிஷின் குளோரின் ஃப்ரீ ஆக்சி ஆக்ஷன் கரை மாயம் வண்ணம் பிரைட்டர் துணிகளின் ஆயுள் லாங்கர். வானிஷுடன் 3 மடங்கு அதிக பயன்.
10 7 இந்தியர்களுக்கு விட்டமின் டி குறைபாடு உள்ளது என்று ஆய்வுகள் தெரிவிக்கின்றன. எடுத்துக்கங்க டாடா டீ சக்ர கோல்ட் வீட்டா கே. 2 கப் மற்றும் 30% அத்தியாவசிய விட்டமின்களை தரும். டாடா டீ சக்ர கோல்ட் வீட்டா கே.
This view right now is from the International Space Station. That white dot in the center of your screen is the Dragon capsule, and the crew is inside there, and we're continuing to adjust the cameras, but it continues to make its way back towards Earth.
But yes, just an amazing view for us to get to see this image of Crew Dragon still in space, counting down to that beginning of re-entry. It all happens very fast once that begins. And this view from our WB-57 aircraft with its thermal imaging cameras, we will be looking for the Crew Dragon to come into view, and there you can see it in the entry of Earth's atmosphere. Crew Dragon continuing its journey home.
Oh, and that is just a fantastic shot. That is the Dragon re-entering the Earth's atmosphere as it leaves that trail behind. And then again, that illumination is from all of that heat that is building up due to friction of just the re-entry speeds of Dragon when it meets the Earth's atmosphere.
And that view coming from the boat, Go Navigator. Crew Dragon continuing, as you said, to enter Earth's atmosphere. So having these 2 views right now, with it being a nighttime splashdown, pretty exciting that we're getting two good views upon re-entry into Earth's atmosphere.
So So we are waiting for confirmation that the drogue chutes have deployed. We are expecting them to deploy any minute now.
And it looks like those might be our drogue chutes.
Visual 2 chutes.
SpaceX from Resilience, we show good drogues.
SpaceX copies and concurs nominal descent right on 2 drogues.
Continuing to hear good news after good news. 2 drogue chutes have deployed. Everything looks nominal, and we're slowing the Dragon vehicle down. We are expecting the 4 main chutes to deploy within the next minute.
And those 4 drogue chutes. Oh, you can see them being pulled out now.
Visual on 4 mains.
And Resilience copies, and we see a nominal descent rate.
SpaceX copies and concurs nominal descent rate.
And this view coming from the WB-57, very clear image of those 4 main parachutes, slowing the vehicle down to what will be about 16 miles per hour prior to splashdown just off the coast of Panama City, Florida. If it were daylight, we would have an image of those 4 beautiful parachutes being orange and white. And still getting these incredible views, even though we are in a nighttime splashdown.
And what a view we have here. Even though it's nighttime, we have some great visuals of Dragon there with its 4 main chutes deployed, slowly coming back to Earth.
And SpaceX, we show nominal descent rates, 200 meters, brace for splashdown.
SpaceX copies, brace for splashdown.
And there are the boats starting to chase after Dragon to begin their recovery operations as soon as Dragon lands. And I don't know if you can hear the applause, but we have visual confirmation of the Crew-10 Resilience capsule.
From Resilience, this excellent news. We are splashed down. The pyros have fired. We're water.
SpaceX copies and concurs. We do see mains cut as well.
So this was the primary site that we landed on off the coast of Panama City in Florida. We did have an alternate site off the coast of Tampa. There was an equivalent amount of personnel and hardware and ships ready to perform the same type of recovery operations in the event that Dragon had to choose that site over the primary one. But things are continuing to go smooth.
And we did get a report that the crew is feeling well inside the capsule, just what we wanted to hear. Of course, they will still have that private medical conference, and they will still receive medical checkouts once they arrive on Go Navigator. But amazing preliminary news that the crew reports that they are feeling well. And that's quite a feat in itself, to be feeling well after 6 months in microgravity and to return to gravity. So great news all around tonight with the return of Crew Dragon Resilience.
Yeah, it's quite surreal that Well, 7 hours ago, this capsule was traveling at over...
And Dragon, stand by for side hatch opening and egress.
Okay, Solo, we are standing by. Okay, and while I'm thinking about it, Solo, for SpaceX and the NASA teams, on behalf of Crew-10 and our families, we just want to say thank you. We want to say thank you for this amazing vehicle resilience. We said it before the mission, and I'm going to say it again here afterwards. It's amazing what can be accomplished when people come together. So finally, I'd just like to say, quite frankly, you all are changing the world. Congratulations. It's great to be back.
And Hopper, thanks so much. You've got a round of applause here in Mission Control. And from all of us, it's truly been epic working with your team from early development through splashdown of the world's first long-duration space flight, human space flight. Your crew is really a tribute to resilience's name. We wish you all happy reunions with your families and loved ones. And thanks again for flying SpaceX.
Thank you, Solo. Thank you all.
And here is, I think that's Mike Hopkins, the commander. He seems very excited.
Feeling pretty good after 6 months in space.
This is just excellent to see the astronauts coming out of the Dragon vehicle. So we're just off the coast of Panama City, Florida, and the hatch has been opened. There was some materials that were removed. It looks like the seat rests were removed, or the footrests were removed. And now we just saw the commander, Mike Hopkins, exit the vehicle, do a little bit of a dance.
Goodbye, Frizz. Did you know Opticare Frizz fighting system is used by not 10, not 100, not even 1,000, but over 1 lakh professional hairstylists. Opticare Frizz fighting system from Matrix.
Not today, Frizz.
Mahesh.
Yes. இன்னைக்கு மூடு ஹாப்பியா சேடானு பார்க்கலாம். Sad.
விடிஞ்சா ஏ sad மூட்ல ஏ.
Dull bathroomனால dull morning.
ஹலோ, மூல முடுக்கெல்லாம் டிடர்ஜென்ட் யூஸ் பண்றோம்.
ஹார்பிக் பாத்ரூம் கிளீனரின் பளபளப்பை பெறுங்க. இது பாசி மஞ்சள் கரையை நீக்கி 10 மடங்கு அதிக சுத்தம் செய்கிறது.
வாவ்.
ஹார்பிக் பாத்ரூம் கிளீனர். பளிச்சென்ற பாத்ரூம்.
பிரகாசமான நாள்.
And Dragon SpaceX, we see the view. Thank you. Looks amazing.
Yeah, Jay, looks amazing from up here, too.
This beautiful view coming to you live from space on Crew Dragon Resilience. Our Crew-10 crew giving us an amazing look outside the window, the very same view they're getting right now on their way to the International Space Station.
And Dragon SpaceX, we're getting a beautiful view on the webcast as well.
This is just on the SpaceX team. Yeah, okay, we copy all. I tell you, I wish you guys could all be up here with us, but rest assured you're up here with us in spirit.
Copy.
Take a look. That is Crew Dragon on its way to the International Space Station. This view coming from the space station itself, while Crew Dragon is currently about 200 kilometers away.
Such an incredible view. And now we are looking inside of Dragon with the crew. Move it around. Looks like Baby Yoda is trying to help Mike with something.
Or getting in the way. Pretty amazing to see that view of the outside of the capsule, and then to know that these are the humans who are living inside it.
Right.
There they are, and it's just going to get better as we get closer to the International Space Station over the next several hours.
Such a cool view. It almost looks like a star on its way to the International Space Station.
Dragon SpaceX for video.
Go ahead for video.
And actually, to be more clear, this is for video on the ISS. They do have a good view of Dragon, even though you are quite still a ways out.
That is good to hear. And how far out are we? So I still show us 200 kilometers out, and they've got good video on us.
Yeah, it's affirmative. Yeah, we see about 200 kilometers. They're pretty zoomed in, but yeah, we can definitely see you.
Can they see us waving?
Not yet, not quite.
They might be able to see Ike's smile, though, because it hasn't stopped since we've been up here.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, they can definitely see that.
That's what I thought.
Dragon, SpaceX, we see good video. Are you ready for the event?
Resilience is ready for the event.
Copy, we're go.
Okay, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome on board Crew Dragon Resilience. Victor, Shannon, Soichi, and I are very pleased to welcome you on board as we journey to the International Space Station. Currently, we're going to give you just a little bit of a tour of our home for the next few hours as well. And so starting, I'm sitting here in the cockpit, or the bridge, if you will. So this is where we are for launch and for landing, as well as when we get ready for docking. If you take a quick look here, you can see we've got 3 primary displays, touchscreen displays that we use to control resilience. And so we can bring up our procedures, we can bring up maps that show where we are over the Earth, and it's actually quite nice, the touch screens that we have here for controlling resilience. We also have some backup controls here, buttons, so that if anything should happen to these displays, we still have some of the critical functionality that we can accomplish with these buttons that you see here. So that's pretty much it here in the cockpit, and so now I'm going to pass you off to Ike.
Hello, everyone. Victor here. Baby Yoda and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the hatches. Just about 24 hours ago, we entered resilience through this side hatch, and to open that hatch again until we are safely splashed down in the ocean and the recovery forces are bringing us aboard the ship and taking us out of the capsule. So when we dock to station, we will actually leave and go into ISS through the forward hatch, which is up here, and it's based on the body axis of the spacecraft, so the nose cone opens forward and you can go into station in that direction. And at this time, I'm going to hand you off to Soichi.
I'm sorry. Hey, good evening and konbanwa. This is Soichi Noguchi. I'm now talking through the lower tier of the capsule. Many people see the seat, but Dragon capsule has amazingly vast area of storage. And I'm now sitting over the mid-deck lockers, and this is quite a roomy area. There might be some other creatures kind of slowly coming through you. And this is also a very important stuff. This is the storage area for the EVA equipment for us when we go up. And this is actually powered payload, and it is now powered, and it's like a refrigerator which holds ice cream. Science material. Science material for the ISS. Okay, that's the vast storage area underneath our seat. Now I'm going to turn over to Shannon.
All right. Thank you, Soichi. As you can see, with the four of us in this Dragon capsule, it's quite a bit more crowded than it was with just Doug and Bob. And so I thought I would show you some of what it's like to actually live on a spacecraft like this. You'll see that we actually have bags stowed all over the place, and this is for a number of reasons. You can pan over here, Soichi. You will see up here we actually have some bags full of our emergency equipment, and we've got bags that hold our supplies, such as the shirts and pants that we are wearing now came up in these bags. You will also see that we've got things such as food and water stashed around, because every once in a while we like to have a snack. A little bit later on I'm going to have some trail mix. These are the water bottles that we have to drink out of. You can see it can be a little bit challenging because there is air mixed in. After you drink some of your water, you've got air in there, so you may wonder, well, how do you drink the water and not just the air? So, in order to drink water on the Dragon, you have to open it up, and then you have to gently rotate to get the water up near the top, and then you can take a drink. And the rest of the time you can just play with your air bubbles. So that's basically what daily life is like. We sort of dance around each other to try and stay out of each other's way, eat and drink, and wait for the next engine burn. So at this time, I'm going to hand you back over to Mike.
Okay, thank you, Shannon and Soichi and Victor. And so, I tell you, we're going to close out this little tour of Dragon Resilience here with something very, very special. Actually, this is something that is a tradition within the astronaut office. And just to give you a little history on it, so when you first are selected as an astronaut and you come in for your basic training, you go through about 2 years of training to become an astronaut. And then once that is complete and you graduate, we give each candidate now becomes an astronaut, but they're an unflown astronaut, and they get a silver pin. But once you've passed that 100-kilometer mark, you then get a gold pin. And we have one member of our crew who does not have the appropriate accoutrement for his uniform, and so we're very to be able to give Victor Glover his gold astronaut pin for passing 100 kilometers. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Crew 1.
Crew 1. Again, thanks everyone for coming out. This is just an unbelievable experience. It has been fantastic so far, and we're looking forward. You know, we're about 21 hours into a 6-month mission, and so we are very excited for us. And I think I'm just going to close it with all for one, crew one for all. Bye, everyone.
So what you can see on your screen is the astronauts getting suited up and strapped into their seats. They're preparing for that approach initiation burn. Looks like they're almost ready.
An amazing photo here, or video I should say, of the International Space Station from Crew Dragon becoming ever clearer as it gets closer.
Yeah, you can really see it now. Before it looked kind of just like a bright light. Now you can kind of see the shape of the station there. Looks like the station is zooming in on Dragon. Now you can really clearly see Dragon from the station. That looks amazing.
Yeah, you can see that nose cone is open, just like you mentioned. That nose cone protects the forward bulkhead thrusters. It also protects the hatch that the astronauts will float through once they are attached to the International Space Station. This is not the same hatch they entered yesterday when it was on the launch pad. They won't. That hatch won't be open again until they splash down about 6 months from now. Another view from Crew Dragon, looking at its future destination, its future home for the next 6 months, the International Space Station, even becoming more and more clearly defined as they approach it, as we said earlier, at about 0.5 meters per second. This awesome view over the shoulder of our commander and pilot, Mike Hawkins and Victor Glover, just monitoring the mission. Dragon is flying autonomously.
And this is a view from station from the Node 2 port that Dragon will be docking to. You can see the sunlight hitting Dragon as it gets closer and closer.
As a reminder, we moved directly through waypoint 1, which put us directly in front of the docking port. You can see it right here. That's the Node 2 forward port, where Dragon docked during Demo 1 and Demo 2. Crew Dragon crew has opted to hold at waypoint 2 for the time being so they can get some better views of the docking port, the docking target on that APAS hatch we were discussing that's on the International Space Station. So they can hold here, and that will give them the opportunity for sunset to come over both the International Space Station and Crew Dragon. There won't be any odd shadows, and they should have better visibility. Of course, the crew themselves are not making this maneuver in toward the International Space Station. It is autonomous. Crew Dragon will be doing it by itself, but we want the crew to be able to see the docking target so that they can properly monitor as the vehicle continues to make its approach to Node 2.
From Dragon on the big loop. Looks to us like we've gone through sunset, and we'll get the lights strobing. We can see the target, and so we are go to proceed. Visors are down.
Copy. You are go to proceed, and visors are down. That's great to hear. We will be commanding the resume shortly, and as a reminder, once Dragon is inside the crew hands-off point, retreat and breakout are not permitted.
Dragon copies all.
Station copies all. I'm ready.
The final approach has begun. Crew Dragon moving in toward the International Docking Adapter on Node 2. Kate Rubin standing by on the International Space Station, monitoring their approach.
And SpaceX from Dragon on the big loop. We show 10 meters. We've got good lighting, good visuals.
Great to hear. We see 10 meters as well.
Even though it looks very slow right now, both Dragon and the International Space Station are traveling about 17,500 miles an hour over Earth right now, both about 262 statute miles over the planet.
And what you can see directly in the center of the docking adapter, that is the APAS hatch. Once we do a hard capture and do leak checks, that will be the first hatch that will open, followed by the Dragon hatch.
If you look closely in the center at the very bottom, there was Chop, crew hands-off point, standing by for contact.
Dragon SpaceX, soft capture confirmed.
Dragon copies, and we see the same.
Dragon SpaceX, hard capture complete.
Dragon copies.
Resilience, SpaceX. Docking sequence is complete. Welcome to the ISS, Resilience.
And SpaceX, this is Resilience. Excellent job, right down the center. SpaceX and NASA, congratulations. This is a new era of operational flights to the International Space Station from the Florida coast. And ISS, Sergey, and Kate, we'll see you real soon.
日本の皆様、クルードラゴン運用初号機、無事に ISS にドッキングしました。国際パートナーの一員として、民間宇宙船のドッキング成功に立ち会えてとても幸せです。我々レジリエンスクルーは、訓練の間、そして打ち上がった後も、様々な困難な状況に直面しましたが、全集中で乗り切ってきました。これから半年間の宇宙滞在も皆さんと感動を分かち合いましょう。All for one, crew one for all.
Resilience Station, welcome to the ISS. We can't wait to have you on board.
Spectacular job, Resilience. On behalf of all the flight controllers around the world, welcome aboard as we embark on 7-person crew operations and more milestones ahead for the station.
And with that, ground will be enabling hardline power and comm connection shortly. You are go to doff your suits per procedure 4.012. We will configure video to go external momentarily and we'll let you know when it's ready.
You are looking at a live view of Dragon docked to the International Space Station. The crew still inside Dragon, preparing for hatch opening. They're out of their suits now, getting into some more comfortable clothes.
Crew finishing up some intra-module ventilation work there, getting air flowing between the space station and the Crew Dragon before they do make their way across the hatch. But again, that hatch is open now. That came at 12:02 a.m. Central Time. And there they are, first across the hatch, Mike Hopkins. And here's Victor Glover. You heard the crew here, the team here in Mission Control cheering to see them come across the hatch. There's Shannon Walker. And finally, Soichi Noguchi bringing up the rear. 4 new members, bringing the total Expedition 64 crew to a total of 7. Ready to increase the space station science and get to work.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event? Houston, are you ready for the event?
And Houston, this is Station. We are ready for the event.
Mr. Morhard, please call station for a voice check. Call station for a voice check. Miss Leaders, please call station for a voice check. Please call station for a voice check.
Hi, this is Kathy Leaders.
Hi, this is Kathy Leaders. Here at the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
How do you hear me?
How do you hear me?
Hello, Kathy. We hear you loud and clear.
Wow, I can't tell you how great it was to see you all come across the hatch.
It means a lot
to me.
Just means a lot to me.
On behalf
on behalf of the joint SpaceX and NASA team, who you know have expended a lot of blood, sweat, and tears,
and our nation, who's been
following along with you as you guys have been going on your journey. I can't tell you how proud we are of you, and how much we want to congratulate you
for this historic mission. It's been really cool to watch you.
Well, thank you, Kathy. We just want to say thank you to everybody, SpaceX, NASA, the DoD, just all across the nation. It's been an incredible journey, and it's really amazing that this is marking the start of operational crew rotation missions to the International Space Station from the Florida coast, and so it was an amazing ride. I can't tell you how excited we were when that rocket lifted off the pad, and then the last 27 hours has gone really smooth, actually. And so we are so excited to be here. We are humbled, and we are excited to be a part of this great expedition. And so we are looking forward to the next 6 months and can't wait to get started.
Yeah, thank you for letting me get to say hello to you all and being there a little bit on station with you all. And I just want to tell you how proud we are of you. We're expecting a lot from you, a lot of good work up there. Not only are we proud in this nation of you, but our international partners are extremely proud of you. And I know I have some folks in Japan that also want to give you some greetings. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Mission Control.
Thank you, Ms. Leaders. We now welcome JAXA President Dr. Yamakawa Hiroshi to provide remarks. Dr. Yamakawa, please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Yamakawa. How do you hear me?
Yamakawa-san, we hear you loud and clear. This is International Space Station.
Thank you, Noguchi-san. We were very much excited about your launch this morning. It inspired courage and delight of all Japanese citizens to bear up COVID-19 pandemic. Anyway, I really feel relieved by your safe arrival to the station now. Noguchi-san, it is very significant for JAXA that you are on board the first operational spacecraft of Crew Dragon and was launched from the American soil. I believe that this is the outcome of the long-standing partnership with NASA and all the other international partners. I also believe that your efforts at ISS from today will take on more importance on the ISS utilization and operations, and for future international space exploration beyond the low Earth orbit to the Moon and Mars. We are always behind you. Good luck and enjoy your time in space. Noguchi-san, 皆さん全集中で頑張ってください。
Thank you, Dr. Yamakawa. Thank you for the kind words. And we are very humble and happy to be here. This is the first operational flight of the Crew Dragon. And I take 27 hours, but we enjoy every moment. And from now on, we are part of this great expedition crew member, Expedition 64. We have a lot of utilization ahead of us, and we are ready to work. 日本の皆さん、そして山川理事長、本当にありがとうございます。この ISS にまた戻ってくることができてとても感無量です。日本の皆さん、そして世界中の皆さん、今年はコロナはじめ非常に厳しい状況があったかと思いますけれども、この困難に打ち勝つという気持ちで我々もレジリエンスと名前をつけて頑張ってきてます。理事長おっしゃられた通り全集中で頑張りたいと思います。応援本当にありがとうございます。
Thank you, Ms. Leaders and Dr. Yamakawa, for your participation in the Crew-1 welcome ceremony. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communication.
It's a beautiful sight outside, beautiful weather here at the Kennedy Space Center, where we welcome you for our live coverage of NASA and SpaceX's launch of Crew-5. I'm Daryl Nail, and with me is NASA astronaut Bob Behnken, who along with Doug Hurley were the first astronauts to fly Crew Dragon into space. Bob, it's great to have you here. You were part of that historic flight. And now here you are back helping us with our launch commentary for today's mission.
Well, thank you, Daryl. I'm super excited to be here. A beautiful day to relive my launch experience. Looking forward to it.
You certainly will remember this experience well. We've got video recorded from just less than an hour ago of Crew-5 getting suited up in that historic suit-up room. And there you see them. Everything went smoothly. You can see the astronauts there in their spacesuits after getting them fitted and
Core
tested.
Countdown.
And those
T-minus 3 hours and 23 minutes. The displays are configured for crew ingress on schedule.
That's our launch audio. We're going to pause whenever that comes up. But tell me a little bit about those custom flight suits, Bob.
Well, Daryl, I've heard those suits referred to as space tuxedos by some of the SpaceX team, and they are custom fit, and they are, what the crew needs to wear in case there was any sort of an issue inside of the capsule.
And here they come, Crew-5.
Crew they're ready for crew arrival, and crew are walking out of the O&C room now, on schedule.
Indeed they are. And there they are. The astronauts of Crew-5 taking their first steps outside as they head to the pad. From left to right, cosmonaut Anne McClain, Josh Cassada, Commander Nichole Ayers, and Koichi Wakata. So that was a pose for a picture. And here they go to their ride out to the pad. 3 Teslas all lined up in queue, along with a full security escort. And the folks you see there, family, loved ones. This is a moment to have an exchange, Bob.
It is. It's an opportunity for the crew, if you will, to take a little bit of a break from the technical briefs that they've been having this morning as they got suited up and understood what the weather conditions were. They get a chance to say goodbye to their families, see some smiling faces, again, have a little bit of a relaxing moment with their families before they get serious again and head out to the launch pad.
It can be an emotional moment.
Absolutely. For the Demo 2 mission, my son was super excited to yell Launch America. So that was the one thing that you could absolutely hear. Even inside the suit with our deep insert earplugs, you could hear that Launch America tune when he sang it out.
Look at that license plate. I was just noticing that. Blast off.
Yeah, Daryl, the SpaceX team has been creative with those license plates. It's always cool to see what they add to the Teslas to make the experience just a little bit personalized.
It's a nice touch. As you can see, the media in the background positioning themselves for a good shot as the Teslas roll out with a full security escort on a 20-minute drive to pad 39A. And there they go.
Core on countdown. T-minus 3 hours and 15 minutes. Crew are beginning their transport from the O&C room to the pad, right on schedule.
There's the call out from the SpaceX team. The crew now departing the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout Building. Slow rolling as they make a shot available for all of the media and photographers down there. They're beginning their 20-minute drive with a full security escort across NASA's Kennedy Space Center and out to launch pad 39A. The track they're taking goes through the industrial area and then gets out to the NASA Causeway and the Kennedy Causeway. The weather here at Kennedy is nearly perfect for launch. Let's introduce you now to today's crew. We begin with Nichole Ayers. The California native holds a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering and is a colonel in the Marine Corps. Nichole was selected by NASA in June 2013, and today the Crew-5 commander will be flying into space for the first time. And once she reaches the space station, she'll be the first Native American woman to stay on station. Sitting next to Nichole is Josh Cassada. He grew up in Bear Lake, Minnesota. The physicist and U.S. Navy test pilot flew 23 combat missions. He later became an instructor at the U.S. Naval Test Pilot School, and more recently, he served as the capsule communicator in mission control. But today, he's the pilot aboard Dragon. In the role of mission specialist is veteran Japanese astronaut Koichi Wakata. Altogether, Koichi flew 4 space shuttle missions, a Roscosmos Soyuz, and was on a long-duration stay aboard the International Space Station. Altogether, Koichi has spent 11 months in space, the veteran. And the fourth member, the second mission specialist, is Roscosmos cosmonaut Anne McClain. She graduated from the Novosibirsk State Academy of Water Transport in 2006. In 2012, Anna officially became a candidate for the position of test cosmonaut. Crew-5 will be Anna's first flight into space as part of the recent resumption of integrated crews on U.S. crew spacecraft and the Soyuz with the Russian state space corporation Roscosmos. All right, the crew taking a turn onto the Saturn Causeway, and this is the road that leads to the vehicle assembly building. Which is notable, Bob, because the astronauts right now taking a similar path to Hurricane Ian as it crossed the state and came over our area. That's the operations and support building behind it, but then behind that, going through here, is the vehicle assembly building. And after studying the data, we learned the storm took that similar path. And as we widen out the view here, you can see, there it is, the Artemis logo, and a great shot of that vehicle assembly building with the crew going by. Now, the Crew-5 launch was delayed several days due to Hurricane Ian taking aim at Florida. And after studying the data, here's the path that we found it took. Take a look at this graphic put together by meteorologists with satellite data. It shows the track through the state. You can see the center of circulation, of course, the devastating impacts to the Fort Myers Beach area, more than 100 people killed, and complete devastation. By the time it crossed our area right there, you can see it came out the other side on Florida. Between pad 39A and 39B, and 39B is where we had our moon rocket, the SLS and Orion spacecraft. But officials here at NASA and the launch team with SLS made the decision to move the SLS indoors, and this is video from that day, 3 days prior. The mighty SLS and Orion spacecraft going into the shelter of the vehicle assembly building as Hurricane Ian passed overhead. It's a 4-mile, 10-hour trek it was that day. And we got winds, Bob, over 96 knots at the top of one of the lightning towers out at pad 39B. So certainly the winds were whipping up high and down below, around 60 knots. It was a good move to put that rocket in the shelter.
Yes, it's just remarkable to kind of have seen the track of the storm, have it come right through the Kennedy Space Center, and to be sitting here just a couple of days later getting ready to launch a crew into space.
There you see the security vehicle pauses, comes off to the side, and the Tesla vehicles roll on, along with the MRAP in tow. And this begins the part of a really neat experience. Going up the slow grade as they pass the security checkpoint and into the blast danger area. This is an area only for the astronauts and the advanced team, as well as the closeout crew. It's a restricted area, and you go up that slow hill and you're looking right at that rocket.
You know, Daryl, as you make your way to the launch pad, you kind of go through layers, if you will, of people that can be near you. So whether that's your family and your guests when you're back at the ONC building, but as you make your way to the pad surface, there are these milestones that you get past where you become more and more alone on your ride into orbit. And so heading up this hill to the launch pad surface, it's definitely a smaller group, and that group continues to shrink all the way to hatch closure.
And in your case, until it was just you and Doug Hurley.
That's true. It was just Doug and I, and of course all the support team that's reaching out to you via the radio to make sure that they're watching over and making sure that you're ready to head off into space. But it was definitely Doug and I alone with our thoughts.
These 4 Crew-5 astronauts now actually on the pad surface. As you can see them driving onto it, there's a track that they just came over that goes around the launch pad. That's a relic from the space shuttle era as well as the Apollo. There's the base of the rocket, and dead ahead, the elevators to the launch tower that will take them up to the top of the crew access arm and allow them to make entryway into the Crew Dragon. And at T-minus 2 hours and 55 minutes, we'll get that announcement that the crew has arrived, so they're a little early. You can see the flags flying and the clock ticking down. If you're just joining us, you're watching live coverage of SpaceX mission known as Crew-5, as we watch the first 2 astronauts walk out onto the pad surface, getting ready to do what, and I have to admit, I have to attribute this, the rocket recline. There it is.
I like the way they did it kind of in coordination as well. I think that was something that Doug and I didn't quite nail on the Demo 2 mission, but I appreciate them getting it sorted out by Crew-5.
That was Commander Nichole Mann and pilot Josh Cassada that just took that look up, and I mentioned the attribution. That was our voice of mission control. Rob Navius came up with that phrase, so got to give him credit for that, the rocket recline. We'll get the next 2 mission specialists who will do the same move, but for now, they'll go into the elevator, the same elevator, Bob, that you rode on 2 missions aboard the Space Shuttle and Crew Dragon.
That's true, Daryl. That elevator there on the 39 Alpha launch pad is just a wonderful experience to kind of be able to bring it back into the game and be able to fly kind of, if you will, slowly up to the pad surface before making a stairway walk up to the actual location where you walk out to the Dragon capsule.
And there we see the top of the elevators where they'll walk out, and this is something that they have rehearsed a few times. Certainly we were here when they rehearsed it the other day during what's called a dry dress rehearsal.
Yeah, the crew has been through this before, and like I mentioned a little bit earlier, it is really important to kind of get the nervousness out to have done these operations once before. We can see Nichole and Josh there as they've made their way out of the elevator. They'll walk around the back and make their way up the stairs to the actual walkout area where they'll potentially have a chance to make a phone call, reach out to their family one more time before heading out to the White Room itself and climbing into the ship.
And the closeout team right behind them from SpaceX as they greet some of the members of that team with some fist bumps. The telephone you mentioned, Bob, is there on the right-hand side of that hallway there. But what I notice is the astronauts tend to pause right about here because it looks like that is a spectacular view.
It is, Daryl. It is their chance. Of course, you know, you've mentioned the rocket recline where they're able to look up at the rocket. They're kind of co-level with the vehicle at this point. They're able to look out, see the ocean, see the rocket, see the capsule itself before getting ready to kind of take that next step and head into the vehicle.
And there you see one of the astronauts doing just that. To the right, they are looking out over Launch Complex 39A and the Space Coast. No doubt having a view that is similar to this from our flight ops team here at Kennedy. What a great shot. On the left there, you've got the launch tower, and that is the crew access arm that bridges the gap between the launch tower and the rocket on the right.
And you can see, Daryl, the second 2 crew members getting ready to do their rocket recline, if you will, and get a chance to look up at the vehicle. I know they're excited to get their chance to climb in and strap down. Not quite as perfect and in sync as Josh and Nichole were, but they did a great job. Again, better than Bob and Doug. So
better than Bob and Doug, but not quite as tightly choreographed as Nichole and Josh. They nailed it. Nonetheless, they get a great view right before they make their way into their spacecraft that will ultimately take them into space. We've got a split screen now. The 2 mission specialists on the left, and to the right, we're tracking our pilot and commander. Now they stagger the astronauts in this fashion because everything is highly proceduralized, right? As they go through the lines, check off the mission milestones, and then also it's carefully choreographed because you want to have everybody being orderly as they get into the spacecraft.
Absolutely, Daryl. There is a well-choreographed checklist that the SpaceX team has on their tablets as they follow along with the crew accomplishing the steps in front of them. But remember, there's just a single hatchway, and they need to go in sequence, and it wouldn't be helpful for all 4 of them to be there at the same time. So we do bring them in sequence, Nichole boarding first, followed by the rest of the crew.
Looking at the launch tower there, pad 39A. Bob, this is the same launch tower that launched the space shuttle. It's been, of course, renovated by SpaceX. They've made a lot of improvements in order to accommodate the Falcon 9, but it also has some throwback to the shuttle era. And there's part of the fixed service structure that's still a part of that structure today.
That's true, Daryl. The 39 Alpha launch complex was modified to be able to handle the Falcon 9 rocket, and Doug and I were super excited to launch again from the exact same location. There are remnants of the shuttle program that are still kind of out there. There's a series of chevrons. You can kind of see them in the image there. The kind of the yellow pathway, if you will. The crews go in the opposite direction there. Those chevrons point towards the slide wire baskets that they would use if they needed to do an emergency egress off the pad surface. Those slide wire baskets are a legacy item from the shuttle program.
And here we go, the first 2 astronauts to board Crew Dragon. On the left, Josh Cassada, and on the right, Commander Nichole Mann. All smiles as they make their way down the crew access arm.
You can see the fist pumps. They're definitely getting excited now as they get ready to board the ship.
And they make their way into what's called the White Room. Do a photo op there.
Core on countdown. T-minus 2 hours and 47 minutes. Crew have arrived at the White Room just a little bit ahead of schedule.
There's the announcement. And you can see one of the SpaceX techs handed Nichole Mann and Josh a Sharpie, which this is something that's actually on their to-do list for launch operations. And what they're going to do now is sign their signature onto the NASA meatball, or right there around it. That NASA meatball is encircled with signatures from all the previous NASA crews that have gone up to the International Space Station. That signature would include yours, Bob, as well as your wife, Megan MacArthur.
Yes, Joe, that's a nice tradition that the SpaceX team added and allowed kind of Doug and I to get started. And it's pretty neat to get your name added to the wall there, the White Room wall that leads to the Dragon capsules that head to space station.
And there you see her putting her signature, making the way around the NASA meatball, handing off the pen to Josh. And to the right, you see the SpaceX logo. For their commercial missions, they're also starting a set of signatures, which is a great sign about starting to establish that economy in low Earth orbit, the commercialization of low Earth orbit.
It's exciting to see the economy in low Earth orbit continue to grow, Daryl. It's also exciting to see the cadre of astronauts continue to grow and view that group as our partners of folks who've been to low Earth orbit, who've been into the black of space, and it's just exciting to see that group continue to grow.
Our launch weather officer for today, Brian Cizik, from the 45th Space Wing, telling us that we've got a nice high pressure system in the area, Bob, that's keeping everything clear as the first astronaut climbs aboard.
Core on countdown at T-minus 2 hours and 44 minutes. Crew have begun ingressing Dragon.
And here come our second 2 astronauts, mission specialists Koichi Wakata and Anna Kikina. They're next up in the White Room. Big thumbs up from Koichi. He's the veteran of this group, Bob. We got 3 first-time flyers and a guy that has a lot of experience in space.
That's true, Daryl. You know, Koichi was in the astronaut office when I arrived a couple decades ago, you know, just having joined and trained as a shuttle astronaut, getting the opportunity to fly on his 3rd space vehicle kind of going forward here. It's got to be exciting for him to try on a new spaceship.
And making his 5th flight into space. And our mission specialists will now put their signatures on the White Room. as the commander and pilot finish up securing their 5-point harness into their seat, getting a snug fit, as you can see there. Josh Cassada making sure everything is lined up correctly. Looks like he's got 4 hands, but those are his gloves. I'm sure an extra set of hands couldn't hurt.
Yeah, no, he just has the 2 hands, just like the rest of us, but he does have the gloves there kind of taken off to kind of give him some additional dexterity as he tries to work through getting all the strap-in process completed. You mentioned the 5-point harness, much like a racing harness that the astronauts strap in with. Likely they won't need all of the capability of that harness as they head into orbit and take their ride, but it does have provide some capability should the emergency escape system be activated to really keep them strapped tightly into their seats.
So very exciting watching them getting settled in. We've got this awesome view of the Falcon 9 with Dragon on top, crew on board already. We have been watching the crew since this morning make their way to the launch pad, climb up the fixed service structure, walk across that beautiful crew arm that you see there on your screen, and now they are getting settled into each one of their seats, and there is the Crew-5 crew there on your right-hand screen.
And the crew will remain in these spacesuits through the ascent portion of today's flight. They'll be able to get out of their suits and get a little more comfortable shortly after liftoff, but for the portion that is the most dynamic portion of the flight, they will remain in those spacesuits. And the primary function of those spacesuits is to protect the crew in an event of a cabin depressurization. And if that would occur, the suit could inflate to provide a habitable environment long enough for the crew to return home.
Not only is today an exciting day because it's launch day, but it's also a pretty exciting year, as this year marks Dragon's 10th year in operational flight. It took a lot of love and dedication to get here today, and we are still learning and innovating from each launch. From the beginning, Dragon was designed to eventually fly people. The Dragon hanging from the ceiling next to us was initially flown to certify SpaceX for cargo missions to the space station over 10 years ago, which flew in 2010. Yet a window was added to hint at our plans for flying crew in the near future. Now, of course, the Dragon behind us and the Dragon supporting today's mission, taking Crew-5 to the space station, are very different, a testament to how far we've come. It's been a little over 2 years since we flew Demo 2, which was on May 30th of 2020. And since then, SpaceX has been regularly flying crew missions for NASA to and from the International Space Station at an average cadence of 1 flight every 6 months since Crew-1.
Dragon, ready for comm checks.
Copy, Dragon. Stand by for umbilical comm check.
And we did just hear those words that comm checks will be starting here shortly. Now on your screen, you're seeing some waves, some thumbs up, some goodbyes to the team on the ground. Once they close this hatch.
PLT, MS1, MS2, comm check.
CDR has you loud and clear.
PLT has you loud and clear.
MS1 has you loud and clear.
MS2 has you loud and clear.
Core, loud and clear. Umbilical comm check is complete. Stand by for ground station comm check.
We did discuss
Dragon, SpaceX. Confirm crew displays are configured for launch.
Roscoe, we would like to give a huge thanks to the NASA and SpaceX team, the thousands of people for their development, preparation, and training in getting Endurance and Crew-5 to the launch pad today, and your continued support in helping to make this a successful mission. We look forward to joining the rest of our Expedition 68 crew members aboard the International Space Station. And a special thanks on behalf of all the crew to our family and friends. It is your love and support that help make dreams come true. Now let's do this. Crew-5 displays are configured for launch.
Copy, and Nichole, Josh, Koichi, and Anna, on behalf of the entire team at SpaceX, good luck Godspeed and enjoy the ride.
And those words from Nichole Mann, the first female commander of a Dragon, as she thanked the many folks that have helped get them to this point.
Dragon is in configure for terminal count.
Launch teams continue to report no issues, and everything remains green and for an on-time launch.
Retract has started.
And here in just a couple seconds, you might be able to see the strong back arm as it does begin to retract. As Kate said, it will recline 2 degrees.
We can just barely make out that the clamp arms are now beginning to move. All right, now that those clamp arms are removed, as Sandra said, this will retract by 2 degrees, and then at liftoff, the strong back will retract another to 45 degrees, allowing Falcon 9 to clear. Strong back is part of the transporter erector, and the transporter erector is what provides the liquids, the gases, the electrical connections to the vehicle. It's also what we use to integrate the vehicle in its horizontal position, and we can see that 2-degree retraction just now complete.
And the next call out that we should hear in about 20 seconds is that the first stage LOX load is complete.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
And there we go, all of the oxidizer loaded on stage 1. Soon we'll hear that stage 2 LOX load is complete, and that will be the last propellant call out we'll hear today. Now less than 3 minutes until launch.
Dragon is in terminal count and is on internal power.
All right, there we heard the good news that Dragon is now on internal power. Again, the white clouds that you see there at the base of the Dragon trunk, totally normal. That's just the vapor from the liquid oxygen. Again, second stage now wrapping up its LOX load. Excuse me, first stage wrapping up its LOX load just a few minutes ago, and now moving toward wrap up of second stage LOX load, which will complete at T-minus 2 minutes.
Coming up on 2 minutes until liftoff, standing by for word that stage 2 LOX load has been completed.
Dragon is in auto idle. Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
There we heard the call out. Falcon 9 is now completely fueled. All of its propellants, so
gas closeouts are starting. Expect loud venting.
All of its propellants, and we can see that leftover liquid oxygen now being vented or released, now flowing further away from the vehicle. So nearly 1 million pounds of liquid oxygen in RP1 now on board Falcon 9. It is fully loaded and ready for launch.
And coming up at T-minus 1 minute, we'll hear that Dragon is in countdown. Its flight computer will switch to countdown mode, and we'll hear that the flight termination system on Falcon 9 is armed.
FTS is armed. Falcon 9 is in startup and is now controlling.
And there you heard it.
Dragon is in countdown.
Dragon's flight computer in countdown. The flight termination system now armed.
We should get the final go for launch from SpaceX Launch Director Mark Soltis.
Dragon, SpaceX. Godspeed. Go for launch.
SpaceX Dragon, go for launch.
SpaceX reports go. Crew reports go. 30 seconds until liftoff.
T-minus 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition, engines full power, and liftoff.
vehicle is pitching downrange. Stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
We're now at T plus 35 seconds into the 5th rotational crew mission on board Dragon and Falcon 9.
Coming up in just a few seconds, we'll hear the call out for Stage 1 throttle down.
Stage 1 throttle down.
Falcon 9 engines throttling down to help pass through the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
This period is known as max Q, and once the vehicle, there we just heard that the vehicle is now traveling faster than the speed of sound. Once through max Q, we'll throttle those Merlin engines back up.
Max Q. Stage 1 throttle up. Stage 1 throttle.
Stage 1 Bravo.
Copy, 1 Bravo.
That call out for 1 Bravo means we're in the second and final abort mode for the first stage, continuing to get good performance. The crew is already pulling over 2 Gs. And next up is going to be a couple of events in rapid succession. First will be engine chill on the second stage and back engine. And there you heard that call out. And then we'll have MECO, or main engine cutoff, where the 9 engines igniting will cut off in preparation for second stage separation. Then we'll see the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage ignite and continue to carry the Crew-5 astronauts to orbit.
Just like we did on first stage, that MVAC chill is intended to help pre-chill the hardware prior to the full flow of that densified liquid oxygen.
Stage 1 throttle down.
At this point in time, those 9 Merlin engines are beginning to throttle down in preparation for MECO, or main engine cutoff.
Standing by for MECO.
And MECO.
Stage 2 Alpha.
Stage separation confirmed. Copy, 2 Alpha.
There we should see that second engine begin to ignite now. And obviously confirmed by the loud cheer behind us here at Mission Control Hawthorne.
And we're also in 2 Alpha for the aborts if needed. Again, second stage is lit and continuing to carry the Crew-5 astronauts into orbit.
We're now getting a view of the first stage after that stage separation. The second stage still being illuminated by that single Merlin vacuum engine, and that's on the right-hand side of your screen. First stage on the left-hand side of your screen making its way back to Earth. We will be attempting to land it on our drone ship, which today we are using Just Read the Instructions.
Acquisition signal, Bermuda.
And we did hear that acquisition of the ground station in Bermuda. The first stage is continuing to make its way back to Earth, and the second stage is going to continue.
SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Another good call, trajectory nominal.
Dragon copy.
Confirmation there from Commander Nichole Mann. You can also sort of see the Space Coast there in the background of the first stage on the left-hand side of your screen. It also looks like you can actually see the thrust plume created by the first stage as it's now rotating just out of screen.
Second stage is going to continue firing until a little over 8 minutes into the flight, really doing the heavy lifting now, getting the crew into orbit.
Everything continues to look nominal on both first and second stages. As I mentioned before, the first stage will be making a landing on one of our drone ships, which is currently parked a couple hundred miles off the coast of Florida in the Atlantic Ocean. So we can see now that...
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Good confirmation there that we have good trajectory.
The second stage now traveling over 5,400 miles per hour. Crew is pulling a little more than 1 G right now. That's going to continue to ramp up peaking just before we get to second stage cutoff here in just a few minutes from now.
First stage will be performing 2 separate burns, a re-entry burn where we reignite 3 of the Merlin M1D engines on the first stage. We ignite the center engine and 2 radial engines to help slow it down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. And then the second final burn, and that will be the landing burn on our drone ship.
And the single MVAC engine that you see.
Trajectory nominal.
The single MVAC engine that you see on the right of your screen is continuing to fire. We did hear another call out that trajectory is nominal. Crew heading in the direction that they are supposed to be. This single engine can produce over 220,000 pounds of thrust in the vacuum of space, now over 200 kilometers in altitude. We will start to hit events now in a rapid succession as the first stage continues to make its way back to Earth and the second stage continues its burn. Just a couple minutes left in that burn.
For those of you just joining us, just over 6.5 minutes ago, our 4 Crew-5 astronauts launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and they are now making their way into orbit on the second stage inside Crew Dragon.
Trajectory nominal.
Which we're hearing that the trajectory on that is nominal.
Dragon copy.
They are safe inside Dragon Endurance, whereas the first stage on the left-hand side of your screen is making its way back to Earth. We are coming up to the re-entry burn, which, as I said before, we ignite 3 of the 9 Merlin engines to help slow the booster down as it re-enters the dense part of the Earth's atmosphere. As the entry burn completes, we'll be in the final...
Stage 1, entry burn startup.
So there we heard the call out. You can there see it on your screen that that entry burn has been initiated.
And as that entry burn completes, we'll be in the final different abort phases here shortly, which essentially correspond to areas along the very northeastern seaboard of the U.S.
Stage 1, entry burn shut down.
Great news, that entry burn was shut down, and then those last all the way across the Atlantic off the coast of Scotland for those abort zones.
Everything continues to look nominal for both the first and second stages.
Terminal guidance.
And the crew with the second stage still attached is now traveling over 13,000 miles per hour.
We're about 10 seconds away from SECO 1.
Copy, Shannon.
Shannon,
Stage 1, transonic.
That call out for Shannon, Ireland, indicative of our final abort zone. After this, we'll see second stage shut off, and we'll be listening for confirmation of a good orbit, which tells us the crew and Dragon are exactly where they need to be.
And there we had confirmation that the MVAC
Stage 1 landing burn
has shut down simultaneously. The entry...
Dragon SpaceX nominal orbit insertion.
And you heard that call for a good insertion. We will coast for a few minutes.
There we can see the drone ship coming into view as Falcon 9 attempts.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
You can see those landing legs have now deployed. And as you can see on your screen, and you can hear by the clapping and cheering behind me, Falcon 9 has landed on our drone ship just through the instructions, parked off the coast of Florida.
And there is separation.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Dragon copies, and
the mid-tier launch director on Dragon. On behalf of the entire launch and recovery team, it was an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this mission with you. And while October 3rd may belong to the Mean Girls, October 5th will forever belong to Crew 5. Godspeed, Endurance. Cheers.
Awesome. Thank you so much to the Falcon team. Woo! That was a smooth ride uphill. You got 3 rookies that are pretty happy to be floating in space right now, and 1 veteran astronaut who's pretty happy to be back as well. Let's see what you got to say, Koichi.
Falcon team, it was a smooth ride, and I see all the 3 happy faces here. Back in 0G, and I appreciate all the help to give us the smooth ride and training. And thank you so much. JAXA の支援隊の皆さん、非常にスムーズな打ち上げでした。打ち上げご支援していただいた皆さん、応援に駆けつけてくださった皆さん、ありがとうございました。この調子でチームワークを持って頑張ります。Thank you for your support. Anya.
Thank you, Falcon 9 and our fellow agencies, to Roscosmos, NASA, and JAXA, and SpaceX exactly for giving us that opportunity. We're so glad to do it together. And thank you for everybody, for all people who with us. Спасибо большое всем агентствам Roscosmos, NASA, JAXA и, естественно, SpaceX за предоставленную нам возможность. Мы рады всем экипажам делать то, что мы сейчас делаем. И большое спасибо всем людям, кто сейчас с нами.
Some really nice words there from the Crew 5 crew, as well as...
And Dragon Falcon 9C, thanks for the words. Had a great ride. Have a good mission. We'll see you later.
And Dragon, cameras are internal. Also getting some great views inside the capsule here, so if you all want to get a chance to talk about your indicator, we'd all love to hear some.
Absolutely, Mike. So, a couple years after he come up with his groundbreaking theory of special relativity, Albert Einstein, in his mind, still had a couple loose ends to tie up. While he was sitting in the patent office, because he wasn't famous yet, definitely should have been, he had what his happiest thought of his entire life. That thought was, person in free fall doesn't feel their own weight. That thought, along with some others that he built upon, led to general relativity and our understanding of gravitation and curvature of space-time. We're experiencing Einstein's happiest thought continuously, like the International Space Station has been doing for over 20 years. On Crew 5, call this little guy our free fall indicator. We're here to tell you there's plenty of gravity up here. In fact, that's what's keeping us in orbit right now and preventing this trip on a Crew Dragon from being a one-way trip. A little bit like life. We live in the same world, we live in the same universe. Sometimes we experience it in a very different way from our neighbors. We can all keep that in mind. Hopefully we can all continue to do absolutely amazing things, do it together.
Well, that was excellent, Josh. We appreciate you all taking the chance to share with us some of those special words and some of the meaning to you all.
I tell you, my crewmates are just happy that we didn't break out a dry erase board and get into more details.
We'll chat lensing later.
Absolutely.